Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'll be covering the best new subclass mods in Baldur's Gate 3's Mod Manager. Today we got a Rogue, a Monk, a Sorcerer, and a Bard. I'll be breaking down these 4 different subclasses here. First, starting with the Scion of the Three. This is actually from the Heroes of Faerun campaign, Forgotten Realms new expansion. This mod by Adarugo expands on the Dead Three. If you're a fan of Bane, Baal, or Miracle, this is perfect for you because that's the entire focus of this subclass. And what's coolest about this is you can actually choose between the different deities here. Now, there are a few dialogue lines, but there is some additional mods out there that can expand on this, and there's also the ability to not use any of these. If you prefer that, I think this is a really cool addition to this. But also with this, we got our subclass feature, Bloodthirst. When an enemy you can see within 9 meters of yourself takes damage and is reduced to 50% of their health or less, after taking that damage and not killed outright, you can make a reaction to teleport to the enemy, and then you make a melee attack. This is one of the coolest reactions and a very fun way to play the Rogue. It makes him a lot more powerful. You also get the Dread Allegiance here, so you can choose one of the either Bane, Baal, or Miracle and gain resistance to one type of damage and the ability to cast a cantrip. You can change your choice of the Dead Three once you do a long rest. And our choices for Bane here, giving you resistance to psychic damage and minor illusion, which is actually really good for a Rogue. There's also the poison damage resistance here and Blade Ward from Baal, which poison damage is commonly in the game, and then necrotic as well later on in the game, and this gives you the Chill Touch cantrip. And whenever you go ahead with doing that, it's going to get added here, and it's just the Bone Chill. Now, this subclass does have level 20 support, but as soon as we get to level 9, that's when we get our next ability, the Strike Fear. When your sneak attack hits, you can use your reaction to apply the Frightened condition to the target for 10 turns. A frightened target must do a wisdom saving throw at the end of its turns, which will end it if it succeeds. Frightened is nice. It makes enemies not move and get disadvantage on their attack rolls, which is good because if you don't finish them off with a sneak attack, you're going to want to avoid damage. And upon hitting level 13, which is past level 12 here, Aura of Malevolence. So at the start of each of your turns, each enemy that's within 3 meters of you will take damage equal to a 1d6 plus your intelligence modifier. The damage type is the same as your damage resistance that you get from the Dread Allegiance. So that's either the Psychic, Poison, or Necrotic. Now, what's cool is they actually changed this from how it works in the tabletop version whenever the subclass released, because it would do 1 plus your intelligence modifier, and that's obviously not a whole lot at level 13, and in Baldur's Gate 3, if you're going up past level 12 here, you want it to be at least something decent. So I really like that Adarugo made that change there to make it a 1d6. I also want to quickly shout out Adarugo. They are very good with dealing with feedback and updating their mods quickly. And I also want to give it another shout out because they actually translated my subclass mod into Korean. So thank you. That was really nice. And upon hitting level 17, we get our Bloodthirst charges back at short rest now. And we have the Dread Incarnate Murderous Intent. So when you roll for your sneak attack damage, you can treat a roll of a 1 or a 2 on the die as a 3. So a flat out boost to our overall damage per round. That's nice. I also want to remind you that sneak attacks are d6. So yeah, that's actually like really good. So yeah, your sneak attack, which could potentially do upwards of 75 damage, that 22 lowered threshold is not going to happen because that's provided you roll a 1 on these. So yeah, a 10d6 of piercing damage and the ability for it to be that high. And boom, I'll show you what that looks like here. Yeah, now you're going to roll a crit. That's 51 damage. And we got the Strike Fear here, so you can use the reaction to frighten the target. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Sorry, Halson. And don't worry, guys, every time that I do this in camp, I always heal them back. Don't worry about that. So yeah, another amazing mod by Adarugo here. Next up, we got the Way of the Jungle Monk subclass. I love this mod. This is made by Tricaliber_OG, and this has a couple different stances that we go into. So this also has its own custom-made, no AI-used icons here as well. And the Way of the Jungle draws inspirations from the beasts of the wild to strike the enemy with the beauty and brutality of nature. So the subclass features dragon striking well in your prowling tiger stance, which is one of the different stances we have. Your strikes evoke those of a menacing dragon. Enemies must succeed a wisdom saving throw when targeted by a melee attack or be thrown off balance. Note that this attack does not have to hit. That's great. There's also the snake striking, which when you're in your gliding crane stance, you swiftly strike at pressure points like a snake. Enemies must do a dexterity saving throw or become hamstrung, which kills their movement speed. And this replaces your flurry of blows with the toe tiger and the toe crane. So yeah, that's really cool. There's also the Prowling Tiger, which lets you go into that stance, or the Gliding Crane, so you can just use your bonus action there to go into those stances and then use these special abilities. And upon hitting level 6, our next subclass feature abilities here are the Leopard Hunting Sweep. So sweep all enemies within 2 meters of you, knocking them prone, entering the Gliding Crane stance afterwards, within 5 meters of movement speed, with 9 meters of movement speed remaining. So you can use this ability to switch your stances and then use your extra movement speed. It does use your movement speed and your bonus action, a key point. Like, there's a cost to doing this, but I think this is cool. It adds another layer of strategy into the game. There's also this one here, the Ready Leopard Pouncing Strike, which does an additional 5d6 of force damage on top of your attack, sprinting over to a target and dazing them. Daze gives the target disadvantage on wisdom saves so that you can land some of your control spells a little bit easier if you have other characters on your party. The Lesser Leopard Pouncing Strike here only does a 2d6 of force damage, but it uses less of your movement speed and the bonus action there. So very similar, but less damage, and the targets must be 3 meters away for the mark to be applied. And then finally, there's also the Lesser Leopard Hunting Sweep, similar to that one there. So sweep all enemies within 1 meter of you, knocking them prone, and enter the gliding crane stands afterwards with 9 meters of movement speed remaining. So you can kind of combo around with these options. Really cool choice here. Prowling Tiger, the Dragon's Claw. So when you're in your Prowling Tiger stance, your unarmed attacks deal slashing damage, and you can toggle this on or off. You can also make it do piercing, which is one of the best damage types in the game, thanks to the Ballist armor. There's also the Focus Prowl. When you're a Prowling Tiger, you cannot be moved against your will by any spell or action, which is really good. And also the Focus one, which allows you to get an additional use of Deflect Missiles. And then there's the Graceful Transitions. After switching stances, retain the benefit of your previous stance striking style for the remainder of your turn. Pretty cool stuff here. I really like the ability to go into piercing damage because obviously that is extremely strong and possible to double the damage. There's now also the Flurry of Claws here, which gives you those slashing damage attacks, or the Flurry of Fangs, which has piercing. And I love the icons here to kind of to show that. You can go a little scissor time on them, or you can hit them with the paper or rock. So yeah, there's also Stunning Claw and the Stunning Fangs, which can possibly stun the target. And the last ability that we get here is the Flawless Transitions. Regain a bonus action upon switching stances once per turn. So yeah, you're able to go around and swap between all of these different abilities here freely. And so you got things like the Enter the Gliding Crane stance here. Love the different animations there. You got the Tiger Pounce, so you can do the Pouncing Strike here if you wanted to. Does the attack straight forward in the line. Prime Target Leopard there, so you see all the grass and the vine roots there. Then you have the Lesser Tiger Pouncing Strike. Flurry of Fangs, let's quickly go through and show what these look like. Similar attack animations there, but the different damage types. And then if we wanted to switch into like the Prowling Tiger form, we can go ahead there and go ahead. I love this. So yeah, this is a really fun subclass, and I definitely encourage you to check it out. And next we have another subclass here from the Heroes of Faerun campaign with the Sorcerer subclass Spellfire Sorcerer. This mod is also made by Adarugo. I love this. This is actually one of my favorite new subclasses because it's got a really cool ability once you get to level 6 here with the Absorb Spells feature, which gives you counterspell, and if a target fails a saving throw against it, you recover a 1d4 of sorcery points. And it's also like a fire and radiant damage focused subclass, which is interesting. It does a little bit of everything. It heals. It's interesting. Now, our level 1 ability that we get is for 10 turns, you can unleash your inner magic to increase the spell save DC of your spells by 1, and you gain advantage on attack rolls of the spells that you cast. That's obviously really good when Scorching Ray is going to be now hitting with advantage. We also get at level 3 the Spellfire Burst. So this allows us to cast some special spells whenever we use at least 1 sorcery point, which I would recommend because things like Extended Spell are super overpowered, proccing our gear. If you get Command, it makes Command last for 2 turns. It's obviously not a sorcerer spell, but just to explain how Extended Spell works, it's really strong. And yeah, we got these different abilities here. So after we use that sorcery point, we got either the Bolstering Flames doing a 1d6 plus charisma modifier of temporary health. There's the Radiant Fire Radiant, which will do a 1d6 plus, or 1d6 of Radiant or 1d6 of fire damage. But the cool thing is this also gets some spells. Like we don't have to take Scorching Ray. We also get Guiding Bolt, Lesser Restoration, and Cure Wounds. Again, it's kind of like a healer, which is, it's interesting, but it's also a bit of a Radiant and fire damage caster. It's got an interesting niche. And there was actually a recent update. I actually did a full build on this if you're curious to see what a build for this would look like. And Adarugo actually moved Counterspell. It was a level 6 spell, which they moved it down to level 5 so you don't accidentally select it here. I think that was a nice change. It also gives you Fireball and Warden of Vitality. With not having to take Fireball is actually a big perk because that lets us take some other very powerful level 3s like Haste or Lightning Bolt or many of the other choices. That's one of the Sorcerer's biggest downsides is their lack of spells compared to like a Wizard. We also get the Absorb spells once we hit level 6. As mentioned, target fails our saving throw to counterspell, we get a 1d4 of sorcery points, which is really good. And upon hitting level 7, we get Wall of Fire and Fire Shield. Again, it's good to have a bit of extra spells here because it gives you more freedom in the choice that you make. And if you're using other spell mods, it also lets you take some other things too, which is really good. I have Mr. Spells and a few Dawn Stars installed. Upon hitting level 9, we get the Flame Strike here. Normally, a sorcerer doesn't get access to it, which means we can actually do a Radiating Orb style version of the sorcerer. It's honestly really strong. I think the Divine Sorcerer is a little bit more powerful than Divine Soul, but this one's really fun. And upon hitting level 14, we get the Honed Spellfire. So your Spellfire burst will increase. You can add your Sorcerer level to the temporary health points received from the Bolstering Flames. Really good. And the damage changes from the Radiant and Fire spells from 1d6 to a 1d10, so big damage boost. And once per turn, when you spend at least one sorcery point, I guess that's just the same thing here. You can only use one of those spells per turn, but adding your Sorcerer level to temporary health is really good, because typically temporary health, if you're giving it to a character that already has it, it's going to override it, and it could have been higher from the other source. This now makes it a lot better because we can get our Sorcerer level up to 20 here using the extended spell mod. And here at level 18, we get the Crown of Spellfire, which after you cast innate sorcery for 10 turns, you get the Burning Life Force, Fly, and Spell Avoidance. This also gets us a sorcerer point version if you want to use that. So after you cast that innate sorcery there, we can then go ahead here with the Crown of Spellfire, which is pretty big. It's going to give us a few different buffs here. So we got the Spellfire Burst that gives us those special fire and other damage options. But we also get here our Burning Life Force. So when we get hit with an attack roll, it reduces the damage by a 1d6 times your charisma modifier. There's also the Fly here, which will, I think this is supposed to be plus, actually. There's also the Fly here, making yourself immune to difficult terrain. We can move around a little bit more freely. The Spell Avoidance, when you're subject to a spell or magical effect that allows you to make a saving throw. On successful save, you get immunity to all elemental damage types for 1 turn. Yeah, that's strong. On a failed save, you get resistance to all elemental damage types. And that moved around. An advantage on Dexterity, Intelligence, and Wisdom, and Charisma saving throws for 1 turn. Yeah, you can see it's pretty strong. So you can chain this together, making yourself a very tanky character. I love the glowing pupil look too. And finally, we got the College of Winterspirit Bard here. Now, this is actually my mod. There wasn't a whole lot of new subclass mods released lately, so I wanted to give another highlight, I guess, here to my own mod. And I am almost done on my second one. I was hoping I could potentially release it this week. We just got to see if I can get certain things to work out properly and go through the testing all right. But with the College of Winterspirit, if you like cold damage, this is the class mod for you. There's 33 different cold damage spells and actions with summons. The summons have spells and a whole lot of other great stuff. They come with unique VFX here. There's also some different weapons you can summon in, so you can see the Ghostly Blades. There's also a bow that's got some pretty strong abilities. We also have a controllable undead here, so you can summon these undead. You don't have to control them. They'll run around, they do a special icy attack, and it's got some cool VFX on it. Again, I love not having to control so many of them. It also has full level 20 support, which gives 3 dogs, 3 snowmen when you hit level 20, and they're kind of strong. But it also has things like 6 elemental ice skeletons, so if you really like the necromancer style of play, you can go about with that. I also have an icy owlbear cub and a full-size owlbear. There's also cats there, the skeletons, which I think look really silly, so just want to quickly go through some of the images here. That's the big owlbears there. Yeah, this is a big passion project for me. I took 120 hours to make this mod, so excuse me for sharing it again here. I poured a lot of heart and soul into this, so I just want to quickly highlight it. Now, there's actually a lot. This class, I did give it a lot of stuff, but it's weaker than a Sword Bard Paladin, and it comes with these bonus actions here, which you can use to spend your Bardic Inspiration to do a 1d4 of cold damage, reducing the target's movement speed, or using the Winter's Wit to give them disadvantage on attack rolls, depending on what your team needs at the time. There's also an Ice Cat at level 3 here. Icy Missile, like Magic Missile, you can shoot those off. Chromatic Orb, so we can actually enhance our abilities. And Conjure Cranberry Juice. This also gives you water bottles, and the sneaky reason for this is because you can take a Mage Hand, free action to drop the water bottles, and then with that water, you can throw them, and it's going to double all of our cold damage. So it can be really strong if you synergize with it. There's also the Winter's Harmony. There's 22 different passives here. I tried to make this like a winter theme, but I do have like Holly and Jolly infusements there. It's the only really like holiday theme to it there. I just want to mention that quickly. Once you hit level 4, we get the Winter's Balance, which makes it so that none of your teammates will slip and fall on ice. The Summon Ice Dog, which is really fun, looks like Scratch, but icy. Freezing Ray, and you get the Ice Blade here. Now, this also naturally has full support from any of the modded spell packs that will actually add it to the Bard's list, so that's one really nice thing, including the new Dawnstar's Arcane spells. And again, it'll also take all these different spells here, so things like the Succubus spells version 2 by I'm Freya there. But yeah, we get a Winter's Harmony passive that'll continually keep unlocking as you level up and go higher and higher. And the fun thing about this is I try to give every single level something new. So like you get Sculpt spells here, obviously that's kind of strong, it's just protect your team because you can't slip on ice. I didn't want you to damage them either. It gives you Ice Ball, which is like Fireball but toned down in damage because cold damage is really good. Ice Beam here, which shoots in a large straight line, and then the Owlbear Cub. Now the thing is, with the Ice Blade here, whenever you summon it in, it's actually going to give you 2. If you already have weapons in your hands, it may remove them. If you have 1, it may only remove 1. But they're the Rhyme Song Blades here. So this gives you advantage on attack rolls against concentrating creatures. I thought that was a fun ability. I made these like Shadow Blade, but toned them down a bit. They don't get upscaled or upcasted, so they only do a 1d6 plus that 1d4 there. You get a +3 bonus to movement speed, advantage on stealth checks, and then it gives us a few different unique abilities and attacks here. So if you wanted to use something like the Frosty Butterflies here, sorry, Halson again, we can use this, and then, oh, I missed it there, unfortunately. It would leave little butterflies. All right, we'll try this again. I love the VFX on it. So yeah, you can see the cold, icy butterflies there. We're gonna try and keep Scratch away from that. And there's also the Frost Mend Strike here, which can heal yourself. And the Hush You, which some of these skills are actually base game ones, but I enhanced them a little bit because they're fun, but not utilized well because the items aren't really that great. I tried to actually bring some things together that are underutilized within the game. And then you can also, again, you can summon in a pet for Scratch here. So if you want to give him his own friend here, we got the Ice Dogs. So yeah, they're kind of cute too. And yeah, friends with friends with the doggos. I also thought it'd be nice to give this class extra attack here because that's just a really nice boost to the offensiveness. I want to make this class like the Jack of all trades, can do everything, but not be better than anything else at it. I also gave it an Aurora Smite here, which does initial 2d cold, but I made it so that it costs a level 2 spell slot, so you can't spam it like you would a Divine Smite. I also give off the Ice Storm, Sleet Storm, and Ice Skeletons at level 7. And you can see here, we got even more Winter's Harmony passives popping up. At level 8, I focus on more of a range to focus. So we got Aurora's Guided Arrow, which is like the Arcane Archer's Guided Shot there. So this can potentially apply Fairy Fire. I made it do cold damage. And this is the only other ability that uses your Bardic Inspiration. You don't get many of them, so you have to actually plan around it if you want to do the bonus actions or not. I also give you the Big Owlbear at this level and the Ice Bow. Don't worry, guys, I did groan whenever I made the name of this bow, so yeah, it's called Guide My Slay. It's kind of like the guiding, it gives you guiding bolt in your attack, so I thought that was funny. And I also give them poison and force damage on their attacks. It's purely just for the green and red aesthetic. I think it looks cool. It doesn't make them overpowered, though. Like, they're actually pretty well-balanced weapons, because, yeah, they're good when you get them, but then they kind of fall off because there's other options. I also give off a Snow Arrow and a Cone of Cold ability here, which is, again, another option that you may have if you want to use some spells. And the Magical Secrets is really fun if you have spell mods installed, because this can give you some crazy options. And then at level 11, I got the Chain Ice Beam here, which is, it's got cool VFX. It's like a Chain Lightning, but it shoots out ice. And then Odaluke's Freezing Sphere, one of my favorite spells in the game, and it sucks that it's locked behind the Wizard. And level 20, or level 12 gives us a Summon Snowman spell. And at level 20, you get 3 of these. They're pretty strong. And also the Wall of Ice spell here. And here's all the different passive you can choose from. I actually gave a few different ones if you want to really increase your critical hit chance there. And here is what the snowman looks like. I had a lot of fun making all these different summons here, as I love summons in video games. So here is the snowman. It's kind of a genie, but he has an iced out beard, and I made some few different changes to the way that he looks. But yeah, he's icy. And the thing is, he's got some of the other genie abilities like the Thunderwave here, but he's also got Snow Surge. And Snow Surge is pretty strong because it's like a, it's similar to the Thunderwave, but cold damage. It's, I guess, kind of Cone of Cold in a sense, but it makes ice surfaces like you see there. And if I had my ability so that my teammates don't slip and fall in it, they wouldn't be slipping. But yeah, that is the snowman there. Let me know, though, which of these mods is your favorite, or if there's any subclass mods that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. I hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll catch you all in the next one.